If you already know how to hold a hook and you've done a chain or two, you're in the right place. This is built for you. By the end of this, you're going to look at a crochet pattern and actually understand what it's asking you to do, instead of just Googling every single abbreviation like most beginners do. So let's get into it. Before we start talking about the stitches themselves, there's one thing you need to understand. Every single crochet stitch is built on the same basic moves. You're always doing some version of insert hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through. That's it. The difference between a simple stitch and a more complex one is just how many times you do those steps and in what order. Once that clicks for you, learning new stitches stops feeling scary. It starts feeling like a puzzle you already know how to solve. Okay, let's start with the chain stitch. Now, you've probably already done this one if you've ever touched a crochet hook, but I want to talk about it in a way most beginners don't hear. The chain isn't just the starting point of your project. It's also used in the middle of patterns, to create spaces, to build height, to connect pieces together. A lot of beginners treat the chain like it's just the boring setup before the real work begins. But if you don't make your chains consistently, meaning all the same size, not too tight, not too loose, your whole project is going to look uneven before you even get to row 2. So yes, practice your chains, even if it feels too basic. The foundation of every single project you make starts here. Now let's talk about the slip stitch. This one doesn't get enough credit. The slip stitch is the shortest stitch in crochet, and because of that, a lot of people think it barely counts. But here's what the slip stitch actually does. It joins things together. When you finish working in a round and you need to close it up, you use a slip stitch. When you need to move your yarn to a different spot without adding any height to your work, you use a slip stitch. It's like the quiet one in the group who actually keeps everything together. You won't use it as a main stitch in most projects, but the moment you need it, you'll really need it. Now we're getting into the ones that show up in almost everything you'll ever make, the single crochet. This is probably the stitch most beginners learn first, and for good reason. It's short, it's dense, it creates a tight fabric, and it's incredibly easy to control. You insert your hook into the stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through both loops on your hook. That's it. 2 loops become 1. Done. Single crochet is what most beginner bags, pouches, and small accessories are made with, because the fabric it creates is sturdy and holds its shape. The downside is that because it's so short, large projects in single crochet take a long time, but for small, solid pieces, it's your best friend. Let's keep going, because the next one is where things start to get a little more interesting, the half double crochet. This stitch is right in the middle. It's taller than the single crochet, but shorter than the double crochet, which we'll get to in a second. What makes it interesting is that when you pull through at the end of the stitch, you're pulling through 3 loops instead of 2, and that gives the stitch a slightly different texture. It has this soft, squishy quality that makes it great for things like hats, scarves, and anything you want to feel warm and cozy. A lot of beginners skip the half double crochet because it feels awkward at first. That 3-loop pull-through feels weird, but once you get comfortable with it, it becomes one of those stitches you keep coming back to. Okay, the double crochet. This is the workhorse of crochet. If you had to learn just one stitch and use it for the rest of your life, double crochet would honestly be the one. It's tall, it works up fast, and it's used in the widest range of patterns out there. Blankets, cardigans, bags, dishcloths, home decor, double crochet is in almost all of them. To do it, you yarn over first before you even insert your hook. Then you insert into the stitch, pull up a loop, and now you have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over again, pull through the last 2 loops. It sounds like a lot of steps, but once you've done it 10 times in a row, it becomes completely automatic. Your hands just know what to do. If you haven't drilled double crochet until it feels natural, do that, seriously. The number of patterns that rely on double crochet is insane. Let's talk about the treble crochet, sometimes called the triple crochet, depending on where you look. This one is taller than the double crochet, and it's great for creating an open, lacy kind of look. You yarn over twice before inserting your hook, and you work off 2 loops at a time in 3 separate steps. It takes a little getting used to because the stitch is so long that it can feel floppy until the rows build up. But treble crochet is what gives certain patterns that airy, elegant look. Think lightweight shawls or open-leaf tote bags. It also shows up a lot in fancy stitch patterns, so knowing how to do it properly is going to matter more as you level up. Now here's where we get into something a lot of beginner resources skip over, and I think that's a mistake. Working in rows versus working in rounds. This isn't a stitch, but it affects how every stitch you do looks and behaves. When you work in rows, you flip your work at the end of each row. This means you're always looking at the front one row, then the back the next. When you work in rounds, you go in a circle and you're always looking at the same side. This matters because some stitches look different on the front and the back. A single crochet worked flat in rows looks slightly different from a single crochet worked in continuous rounds. If you've ever made something and it looked different from the photo in the pattern, this might actually be why. Alright, let's get into some stitches that beginners don't always hear about right away, but that are going to make your work look so much better. First, the magic ring. Okay, technically this is a starting technique and not a stitch, but I'm including it because it changes everything when you're working in the round. A lot of beginners start their circular projects with a chain and a slip stitch join, and it works, but it leaves a little hole in the center. The magic ring closes that hole completely. If you're making anything that starts from the center, a coaster, a granny square, a stuffed animal, the magic ring is the way to go. It's a little tricky the first time, but once you figure it out, you won't go back. Now let's talk about the bobble stitch. This is where crochet starts to feel like magic. A bobble is made by working multiple incomplete double crochets into the same stitch and then finishing them all together at the top. The result is this little raised ball shape that pops out of your fabric. Bobble stitches are used for texture, on bags, on pillows, on wall hangings. When someone picks up a piece you made with bobbles and their eyes go wide, this is why. It's one of those stitches that looks complicated but is actually very approachable once you know double crochet well. The shell stitch is next, and this one is a crowd favorite. A shell is made by working multiple double crochets all into the same single stitch. It fans out like a shell. Shell stitches create a beautiful repeating pattern that looks intricate but follows a very predictable rhythm once you see it. Shawls and blanket edgings made with shell stitches are some of the most popular patterns on Pinterest and Etsy for a reason. The texture is stunning, and once you're in the rhythm, it's almost meditative to make. Let's talk about the moss stitch, also called the linen stitch or the granite stitch, depending on where you look. This one is made by alternating single crochets and chain spaces in a specific